Hi everyone! In today's video we are going to make step-by-step Locke's mask from the movie The Nightmare Before Christmas. I hope you like it and that you can use it in your projects, especially for Halloween. The first thing we need are the patterns. You will have a link to download them in the description box. Feel free to resize them. To print them to scale, you can use, I don't know how it's pronounced in English, but Adobe Acrobat, maybe? And in the print tab, select the poster option. It will be printed on sheets that you will have to put together, but it's super easy. If you like my tutorials, there's also a link to my Ko-fi profile for those who want to help with the channel. Our next step will be to use scissors to cut. Here's the base without the eyes, and for now we're going to put aside the mouth. Let's take our base material, which, as you can imagine, it will be a 3mm thick sheet of EVA foam. Next, we can take a pen to trace the outline of the mask. Done! Now we can cut using a cutter or just scissors. And here's the base of the mask. But for today's tutorial, I want you to see me experiment a bit so you can see how sometimes things don't always work on the first take. So off camera, I cut out another mask with a 5mm thick foam base. Let's start with our tests. At first, I took the paper base and air drying modeling dough. You have seen me use this dough in many tutorials, so you already know that I love it. It's a very cheap material and it dries out to be like light and rubbery, which is nice. The first thing I did was to just use my hands to shape a triangular nose on the paper, something easy, and just let it dry. My second try was slightly different, because I cut out the triangle of the nose of the pattern with the cutter, and placing the paper on the 5mm mask, I traced the silhouette of the nose on the foam. Again, with the same foamy dough, cheap version that you can find at any bazaar, and my fingers, I did the same nose until I was satisfied with the shape. Now, before continuing with the experiment, I had to let the two pieces dry completely overnight. Well, here's the failure in one of the attempts. What I wanted was, to use an old hair dryer on full power. It's better to use a heat gun if you have one, but well, I just wanted to heat up the foam base as much as possible. Immediately afterwards, I wanted to press the nose against the mask to shape it, to create like the nose shape on the mask. I'm repeating myself, but I guess it makes sense. And as you can see, no, it didn't work, and no, just no. But well, luckily we had a plan B. The other base also had his nose completely dry, so to begin with, I carefully remove it using a knife, to then glue it down to the base with a thin layer of contact glue to just secure it in place. I'm not going to get tired of repeating the same, but no, you cannot use hot silicone for my tutorials, and I guess it's a thing in this channel. For the entire process, I only recommend contact glue, contact cement, I don't know what you call it. I will apply a thin layer of product on the two surfaces that I want to glue. I will wait until it's no longer sticky to the touch, and carefully I will glue the two pieces together. Then, now let's take a thin EVA foam sheet and I mean the ones that you can buy pretty much everywhere. My idea was to cover the entire thing like it was a fondant cake. To do this, I took the dryer and proceeded to heat the foam sheet as much as possible. Notice that if this method does not work for you, it is because you are not heating the foam enough. It needs to be really hot. And now yeah, I pressed the foam against the mask to adapt the shape of the nose to it. And to be honest, the next steps are quite tiring, but they are worth it. It's just that little by little we will heat up the foam, shape it and glue it in place. I do it in sections, and first I make sure that the nose is just glued in place before continuing with the other areas. Let's put it like that. I heat it up, I give it shape, and I glue everything in place. Be very careful when doing the nose, as it is the most delicate area. A little trick that can help to cover the entire surface is to cut and remove the excess foam so that it does not bother around during the process. And here we have it with the volume of the nose perfectly shaped, I think. I'm not going to be bothered at all about the few wrinkles that we left here and there, as they will be hidden by the texture. And before moving, I will let the glue dry completely again overnight. It is the next day, so now we can continue with our project. Let's take the cutter, turn over the mask and remove the excess foam carefully. Done. At this point, I was really digging this prop and I was quite confident about the final result. To continue, I took the hairdryer once again to heat up the base of the mask at max power. And what I wanted is to hold the mask in place, to fold it inwards to give it the proper shape, if it makes sense. And as you can see, I shaped the upper part of the face and the part of the jaw separately to have a little bit more control over what I was doing and what I was achieving. But now, while I show you the result, let me tell you. Everything I'm going to do next is absolutely optional. Totally. I love to give my pieces kind of a wooden texture, but as you may already know, Locke's mask is completely smooth, so just choose what you want for your mask and that's it. For the texture, I will use another of my favorite tools, and I mean a pyrographer. I just don't know how to pronounce that in English, but yeah, that. And I will use it once hot to mark blows, burns, lines to make it look like grainy texture. And I think it gives a little something that cannot be achieved by anything else. I just love it. But I'm not done with the texture just yet. For the final touch, I will use my rotatory tool with a stone head. I'm pressing against the mask, applying different pressure into different areas to mark the direction of the wood grain. And it's important that you only choose one direction and do not abuse this step. But here I have it. The truth is that I love the result. And let's not forget that we still have the teeth left. Do not worry, because it will be easy. Starting with the pen, I'm going to mark the position of the teeth drawn in the pattern on the mask. In order not to get lost during the construction, I will number the teeth. And yes, I will be using more 5mm foam to build them. I'll use a pair of scissors to cut out everything, and the pen to trace them on the foam. And of course, I'm going to use more contact glue to stick them in place, one by one, on the jaw, following the order. Once they dry, you can fold them a little bit with heat so that they look more realistic, and voila! Here we have Locke's mask ready to paint, but first we need to prime it. Here you have the cheap options that I always use: white glue or vinyl latex, which in this case will be my option. The primer closes the pores so that the paint glides better, lasts longer, and we will just apply it with a brush, giving a thin coat, letting it dry, another layer, letting it dry, repeating this process about 3 or 4 times. Here it is. After a lot of work, we can give it some color, and the first thing will be a uniform base coat. The color should be black, but it doesn't matter if you use spray paint or just acrylic paints and a brush. After that, it's time to take the rest of the colors and brushes with thick and hard bristles. I will start with white, try painting the mask because I want the red color to pop up just a lot. As I go, I'm going to remove any excess paint on a paper, and I will make very soft strokes in the opposite direction to the good texture, and that's because I want the black to show up from the base to give us some depth. Next, after finding a nice shade of red, I will repeat exactly the same process once the white paint is completely dry. I think in total I gave it like a couple of coats to get a beautiful color, but here we have it. We still have our teeth left, which they are just grey, so let's make a couple of layers and that's it. The last step in order to finish the mask will be to take black color to trace like the bruises, the gums, and any type of detail that we want to accentuate. Just do not abuse this color. And that's all, pretty much. I hope you liked this tutorial, that you can put it into practice, and see you on my next video. Ciao!